Tokyo has almost 14 million people, and packed into that same city are over 550,000 pet dogs. That's more dogs than the population of a mid-sized American city. Now walk through Shibuya, walk through a quiet street in Setagaya, sit in Yoyogi Park for an hour and just listen. You will not hear a single bark, not one. A city with hundreds of thousands of dogs and almost total silence. So where did the barking go? By the end of this video, you'll know the real answer. It is not simply well-behaved dogs. It is a system built from culture, law, money, and in some extreme cases, surgery, all working together to keep dogs quiet. Let's get into it. To understand this, forget dogs for a second. Let's talk about Japanese people first. Japan runs on an idea called meiwaku. It means trouble or burden on others. The rule is simple. Don't cause meiwaku. Don't inconvenience people around you. This is why train cars are silent. This is why nobody takes phone calls on the subway. This is why people stand on the correct side of the escalator, every single time, without being told. It's not politeness like we think of it in the West. It's not say sorry after you bump into someone. It's proactive. You're expected to think ahead and prevent the problem before it happens. Now here is the twist. In Japan, pets are family, and if your dog is family, your dog's behavior is your behavior. There's a word for this too. Sekinin means responsibility. If your dog barks and disturbs a neighbor, that's not the dog's fault in the eyes of society. That's your fault. It is read as a personal failure and a lack of discipline and respect. And Japanese neighbors almost never confront you directly about it. They won't knock on your door and complain. They just quietly judge you. And that judgment is often worse than a direct fight. So owners go to extreme lengths to avoid it. That is rule number 1. But it is just the beginning. Here's where it gets physical, not just cultural. Most people in Japanese cities live in thin-walled apartments. Sound travels easily. And getting a pet-friendly apartment in the first place is brutal. Only about 15 to 20% of rentals even allow pets at all. So if you're lucky enough to find one, you sign a contract with rules that would shock most Western renters. You pay an extra pet deposit, often 1 or 2 months of rent on top of everything else. Many leases have a written clause that flat-out bans noisy animals. That means a barking dog isn't just annoying, it's a breach of contract. You're expected to carry your dog through the lobby and the elevator, so it doesn't interact with anyone or make a sound. And then there are the quiet hours, usually from 10 p.m. to 7 or 8 a.m. During that window, any noise leaking out of your apartment is a serious violation. Now think about the numbers here. A quiet Japanese apartment building expects nighttime noise under 50 decibels. That's library quiet. One single dog bark can hit 90 decibels. That's not a small overage. That's blowing past the limit almost twice over. So what happens when a dog breaks that silence? First, a notice appears on the building's bulletin board. It won't name you directly. It'll say something like a reminder to all residents about noise. Everyone knows who it's about. That's the point. If it keeps happening, a letter shows up in your mailbox. This time it names the lease violation directly. Next, the building manager knocks on your door politely and calmly, but everyone understands what that visit means. And if it's still not fixed, neighbors call the police. Not for an emergency, just a noise complaint. The police almost never arrest anyone for a barking dog, but having an officer show up at your door, in front of your neighbors, is humiliating. That alone is often enough to force change. Keep ignoring it and you lose your apartment. In a market where only 1 in 5 places even accepts pets, that is a massive threat. But here is what really raises the stakes. In Japan, this doesn't stop at your landlord. It can end up in court. Japanese courts use a legal concept called junin gendo. It roughly means the limit of what a reasonable person should tolerate. Judges look at decibel levels, the time of day, the neighborhood, and whether the owner tried to fix the problem after complaints came in. Courts have sided with the people annoyed by the barking again and again. In 1986, A Yokohama court made a dog owner pay 300,000 yen to each neighbor affected by constant barking. In 1995, a Tokyo court went even further. A tenant moved out because of a neighbor's barking dog. The landlord sued the dog owner and won for the lost rent money. In 2015, in Osaka, a neighbor recorded a dog barking at night using a professional recorder. The average noise level was 64.5 decibels. The court ruled that crossed the line and ordered the owner to pay for emotional distress, medical bills for sleep problems, and even the cost of the recording equipment used against them. Let that sink in. In Japan, a barking dog isn't just rude, it's a legal liability. It can cost you real money, in real court. So now you understand the pressure. Culture says do not cause trouble, housing contracts ban noise outright, and the legal system will make you pay if you fail. That raises an obvious question. If the punishment is this severe, why do Japanese people keep choosing dog breeds that are famous for barking? Here is a twist you will not expect. The most popular dog in Japan is the toy poodle, followed by the Chihuahua, small mixed breeds, the Shiba Inu, and the miniature dachshund. Look closely at that list. Chihuahuas are famously loud and reactive. Dachshunds were bred to hunt and bred to bark while doing it. Toy poodles are smart, but high energy and prone to barking when they're bored in a small apartment. One study on Japanese dogs found that 86% had at least one real behavioral problem. The single most common issue was barking at noises inside the house, followed by barking at visitors. So Japan hasn't accidentally ended up with naturally quiet dogs. It's almost the opposite. The most popular breeds are genetically wired to bark, which means that silence you hear on the streets of Tokyo isn't natural at all. It is deliberately built through serious training. This is where the Japanese concept of shitsuke comes in. Shitsuke means discipline, upbringing, good habits. You might recognize it from lean manufacturing. It is one of the 5 principles Toyota built its production system around. Applied to parenting, and now to dogs, shitsuke isn't about punishing bad behavior after it happens. It's about shaping the environment so the bad behavior never shows up in the first place. Trainers in Japan focus on making the dog feel calm and secure, so it never feels the need to bark at the doorbell, or a stranger, or another dog. If the dog trusts that the owner is fully in control, the instinct to sound the alarm fades away. For busy city professionals who do not have time to do this training themselves, there is an entire industry built around it. Dog kindergartens called yochien. These are not glorified daycares, they are structured programs. Dogs arrive in the morning, get a health check, go through supervised socializing, then one-on-one training sessions, then a mandatory rest period, literally practicing how to settle quietly, like they'd need to inside a thin-walled apartment. This isn't cheap either. Monthly tuition can run past 90,000 yen for a few days a week. One of the core lessons involves playing recordings of doorbells, sirens, and intercoms at a low volume, then slowly raising the volume over several weeks until the dog stops reacting entirely. They are quite literally training the bark out of the dog's nervous system. But training alone doesn't always work. Tokyo is loud, crowded, and overwhelming, even for a well-trained dog. So owners lean on a tool you've probably seen and maybe laughed at, the pet stroller. Walk through Omotesando or Yoyogi Park, and you'll see dogs rolling by in strollers, not walking on the ground at all. It looks like babying the dog. But it's actually a behavioral tool. Inside a stroller, the dog's world shrinks. There are fewer sudden surprises, fewer strangers getting in its face, and fewer other dogs to react to. The owner fully controls what the dog sees and hears. Less stimulation means less reason to bark. There is a bigger trend behind this too. As Japan's birth rate keeps falling, pets are increasingly filling the emotional role kids used to fill. Pets are outnumbering children in some parts of East Asia already. Companies that used to make baby strollers, like Airbuggy, now make luxury pet strollers instead. It is the same design for a new customer. For most dogs, training, strollers, and strict apartment rules are enough, but not always. Some dogs remain anxious and keep barking no matter what. And when an owner is staring down a lawsuit or an eviction from one of the few pet-friendly apartments in the entire city, some turn to more extreme options. There are ultrasonic devices that automatically emit a high-pitched sound only dogs can hear when barking starts, as well as anti-bark muzzles. Then there is the most extreme option, surgery. It is called devocalization, and it involves removing tissue from the dog's vocal cords. The dog can still try to bark, but what comes out is a raspy, muted wheeze instead of a real bark. This surgery is banned in the UK and in several US states. Major veterinary associations oppose it. But in Japan, it exists in a legal gray area. It's not explicitly illegal. It typically costs around 80,000 to 100,000 yen. For some owners, facing the alternative of losing their home or giving up their dog entirely, that becomes the last resort. To be clear, this is controversial inside Japan too. Japanese viewers have formally complained to media watchdogs about TV shows featuring dogs that appear to have had this surgery, calling it cruel and unnecessary. So even in Japan, this is not universally accepted. It's the extreme end of a very long chain of pressure. So next time you see a video of a silent Tokyo street or a dog calmly riding in a stroller through Shibuya, you'll know what's actually behind it. It is not magic or a special breed of quiet dog. It is an entire system built from cultural pressure to never cause trouble, apartment contracts that ban noise outright, courts that can make you pay real money for a barking dog, trainers who reshape a dog's emotional baseline from puppyhood, and in the most extreme cases, surgery. The silent dogs of Japan aren't naturally silent. They're the product of a society that will go to almost any length to protect the peace of the people around them. If this blew your mind, hit subscribe. Every week, I break down cultural rules that shape everyday life in ways you would never guess. And drop a comment. Would you go through all of this for your dog, or does this seem like too much? See you in the next one.